Is that the kind of music you think they play in England and in France, Thomas?
Probably at some club somewhere.
Yes. Boom, boom, boom. How about at the track? Sandown and St. Cloud, because it's not Cloud. I want to call it Cloud. Get off of my Cloud. Maybe that's what Mick Jagger was talking about, but I don't think so.
Nah, not a big horse guy.
No. Isn't I think Keith Richards is, though, isn't he? One of those guys was. Yeah, or was it no, it's the other one.
I don't think
it's Ronnie Wood. Ronnie Wood is actually a really big horse guy from the Rolling Stones. And you know who else is getting into it? Conor McGregor out there, from what I read, is going to buy an Irish horse farm. He's into it as well. I've tried to get Conor to come on the show, but unfortunately, so far, not so good, Thomas.
Well, you did your best.
Yes, indeed, we tried. So today, tell us a little bit about what we're doing and why we picked these races.
Well, at Sandown, the big race is the Coral-Eclipse, which is usually is this year renewal, matching 3-year-olds and older horses. Of course, the 3-year-olds get a weight allowance for this race. And this is a great test for them because it's 1.25 miles, and you get to usually run these are very good races. So the St. Cloud race is the race that'll feature Hurricane Lane, among others, and it's always both these races do have Breeders' Cup implications. Yes, it's July, but a lot of these horses are prepping for either one of two things. One is Breeders' Cup and the other is the Arc. And we're definitely going to see more Arc possible competitors in that St. Cloud race. So, but on the other hand, the top choice in the Ellipse, Coral-Eclipse race is also targeted for the Arc. So we'll see.
It's Hurricane Lane. Have you read? Is he any less chubby?
Well, again, you're gonna have to listen to the commentators and see what their observations are. We don't see these horses on a regular basis, so where they do.
Honestly, I wouldn't know, to be honest with you, Tom, looking at a horse, if it was chubby relative to itself or not.
Well, again, I think it would be more historical. Because one of the gentlemen that I used to go to the track with always liked to go to the paddock to make notes. So any changes, bandage changes, obviously equipment changes, even at that time, shoes, what kind of shoes they were wearing or not wearing at all in some cases, would be indication to him. Why was the change, and does that give it a length or two extra to become the winner? And based on his record, I would say he did very well in his day.
Yeah.
So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, every little edge helps. So let's take a look at what Sandown Park looks like. It looks like a paperclip.
Kind of, yeah.
And so this is what we're going to be looking at. This is the steady rise throughout. I'm not quite sure what runs here, but is that just where they run like the straight 6 furlongs and all that kind of stuff down the middle?
The 5 furlong race that we're covering
is going to be right down the middle. Right
down the middle, yeah.
All right.
The 1.25 mile race, you'll see where it starts up in the upper left. When they get up to where the chute is for the mile race, that's a little bit of a dog leg. So they will. Obviously, you want to be a little in position correctly to handle that turn, and then it is a tight turn track. So, in terms of some of these, the way the running is, but there's also a gradual as you come through it. Watching today's races, there's really been no bias that I could see. One of the commentators thought there was more of the outside bias, but I did not find that to be the case. And from what I can tell, I don't think there is one.
Well, race 1, we'll see what kind of bias you have, Tom. It's going to kick off, it looks to me like, at 8:50 a.m. Eastern. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right.
All right. So who do you think is going to take the race number 1, which is the Coral Charge? It is a 5 furlong race, as you mentioned, Thomas. And on the 5 furlong affair, you're going to run right down the middle of the paperclip.
And it also should mention that it is a Group 3 race.
Yes, and it is a steady rise throughout. So they're running uphill for 5 furlongs. So it's probably really more like a 6 furlong race in terms of the effort it takes.
It will take some effort.
Mm-hmm.
But they also, whether you're running using the main track or the straight track, they both go uphill.
Mm.
With that, I took number 4, Method, as my top choice. Draw 3. 8 starts, 2 wins, and a second. Last out was a listed race at 6 furlongs. It went to the lead, and then it hung right at the end, but it hadn't raced in over a year, 333 days to be exact. So actually, it was a pretty good effort considering. In 2020, he won his first 2 races and then ran in a Group 3, ran second, and then tried a Group 1, and he was out. During his 2021 season, he never placed or showed or did anything, and really was not a good year. But I like this last race, and I think that little greenness, I think, and a little rust. This is going to be a long shot. There's no question about that. But if he got something out of that race and a little shorter distance, I think really helped this horse a lot. I took number 7, Nymphadora, with draw 8 as my next choice. She has 9 starts, 1 win, and 2 seconds. She's only won a listed race in her career, but she really had 2 good races this season, I think. But one was in a handicap at Ascot, where she ran second, and then ran at Chester ran second, another handicap at 5 furlongs, which definitely is her distance. She is one of those that'll stay in contact with the leaders and should be right there at the end. She does, because she is a female, she gets a weight allowance from the males, and she is a 3-year-old, so she gets that too. So taking that weight off with William Buick up, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. And he'll probably be the leading jockey in England this year. Number 5, which will be our favorite, is Rassel, and it has draw 6. He has 14 starts, 8 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. Won last time out in a listed race at Haydock, and he beat a pretty good horse by the name of Dragon Symbol, who unfortunately didn't do much in his last race, which he was in the Royal Ascot race at the Platinum. And really, his first start of the year was running fifth, and then since then he's won 2, he's placed in 1. Definitely a step up in class, and definitely has been in form. You can't complain about his finishes, and obviously the one to beat, I think, and short odds, but I'm going to try to do it.
All right, Thomas. So for me in the first race, and we forgot to note this, that the going is good, and they're going to start on the far side with the gates. So,
the gate, because the straightaway. That's the only reason, because it'll be inside starts for the rest of them.
Okay.
And then the last race, which we're not covering, is also 5 furlong event.
So the going is good, and because the going is good, I focused on horses that have good going, at least good going ability. And Equilateral is my top choice. Last time out, it had spent more than a year, about 14 months in the barn trying to get healthy, and then came back for a Group 1 at Royal Ascot, the King Stand. And you would think a horse that would have been off that long would have tried to come back to a race a little less
competitive.
Yeah, and it still ran a pretty solid 5th. Yeah. So I think you'll see that horse improve in its second start off a layoff. I'm going to go with number 6 as my second choice. That is Mitbahi. You think that's about right, Tom?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, we'll go with Mitbahi. It's a horse that does have a good track record on the good surface. Also has a trip across the Sandown track, and it won that race. That was last out. That was at 5 furlongs. just like today. So it was able to handle the gradual uphill with ease, won by 1 1/4 lengths, and it was also on a good surface. So I think that horse is probably going to be competitive for the favorite with the 5 horse, which is Rasil, which is my third choice in here. Another one that's run fairly well on a good course. Hasn't run at the Sandown course, so we don't really know how it'll take to that uphillness. But what we do know is it has run at the distance 10 times, and it's won 8 of them. So that's a pretty good record at that distance. And then finally, I agree with you, Tom. It was between Tippy Toes and Nymphadora for me, but it just looks like Nymphadora was in better form than is Tippy Toes at the moment. So I'm going to go to 6, 5, and 7 for Sandown's race number 1. Race number 2, Tom, is a 1 mile Coral Challenge. If we look at 1 mile on the Sandown course, let's see where that one starts at. I don't see 1 mile. It looks like 1 mile and 14 yards is really how long it is.
That's the mile, the chute. And they're still going that chute there.
They're going to come down this way and then make this tight turn through here. Have you ever seen a horse? Well, they probably blocked this off so none can turn in there. And then it's all the way uphill over here back to the circular stop sign. And so what do you expect from 1 mile? Is there any particular bias that you want? Those tight turns, do you want to be a little bit closer to the rail?
You want to draw inside. And as I said, hasn't been a big bias lately. But I've seen closers and I've seen ones that have stayed out. Most of the time, it's been a closer race, so I would continue to think that's going to be the case. So with that, I took number 3, Check-In Challenge. It has draw 9 as my top choice. Tried grade Group 1 company last time out in the Guineas, and frankly was no match, and I tossed that race. And it has a listed win in Newcastle and a maiden win. Both of those are on the all-weather, and you go, okay, well, will that form transfer to the turf? Mm-hmm. Well, that means you got to go look at the breeding. So we looked at the breeding and found that their dam has produced 7 runners. 5 of them are winners, and they've all won on the turf, and they've all won at all kinds of different distances. So, and some of them race as many as 50 times. So they're obviously, there's no problem with turf in this horse. So it should handle the course without too much trouble. Number 2, Sinjari is my next choice with a draw 7. 18 starts, has 2 wins, 7 seconds, and 2/3. It ran an okay race at Ascot with issues. And my observation of that race is I think it was with the wrong group on the wrong side of track when it was about. It still ended up finishing 5th. So when they merged, it was able to pick up a little more than when it was out there with the other group. And I didn't think that the other group was moving as well. After the layoff, ran 3rd at Newbury at this distance. And then I think it was a useful race. And I think that's why they decided to take a shot at Ascot. And I think there's a little better spot for the horse, personally.
All right.
I think it'll be a joint favorite, but we'll see. Finally, I took number 4, Chance is my final choice. Has draw 8. 19 starts, 6 wins, 3 seconds and 1/3. But at this distance is 13 starts, 4 wins, 3 seconds and 1/3. It has run a little while, but his last race was at Lingfield. And it was a nice a win, and he won 2 in a row coming off of that. He's won on all kinds of going. He's won on good. He's won on good to firm. He's won on the all-weather. He's won on heavy. So adaptability is not the issue here. The level is obviously going to be the issue. He's never won off a layoff, but he's been competitive. And so I'm not putting him on top, but I am putting him to back myself up for some of those exactas.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think my exacta is going to start with number 6, Lion Tower. This horse looks to me, Tom, like last year in his 4-year-old campaign, really good in the middle, kind of struggled towards the end. Took some time off from September to April, came back in April, ran an okay 5th, 1 1/4 lengths behind, and then has steadily improved race to race to race. and last time out getting a nice win. And I think you're going to see the horse back it up with another really good effort in here. My next horse is number 1, Escobar. You always have this horse when we do stuff, Tom, and you have him today. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing for me. But Escobar is a hanger. You know, you've heard of a thing called a horse for the course, Tom, right? We've heard that saying before.
Oh, absolutely.
This one's a hanger for the course. Ran on the course 6 times and ended up finishing second in 4 of them. So it's going to give you a lot of hope at the end just to dash your heart. So, you know, you should do all Escobar, all for your trifecta or for your exacta, and you have a 75%, 67% chance based upon its history of getting that right. So that's a hell of a Terry bet right there. I'm going to go with number 11 as my third choice. So you and I aren't agreeing on nothing yet. This is Flying High, and a horse that, again, I'm looking for horses that are in form right now, that are running well and looking like they're on the upswing. And when you look at number 11, Flying High, on a good surface, the horse has run very well. Last time out, ran a mile. Seems to me that this is a horse that needs a mile. Honestly, I think it probably needs a little more than a mile, Flying High. So I think it'll kick in at the end, but just probably fall a little short. Again, a Tom horse that you're not maybe going to get on top, but you're hoping could finish in the exacta or trifecta to pump it up. And then I also like Chance, like you, Tom, another horse that's run well on a good surface and one that I expect might not win, but could play very well into bumping up our prices in the exactas trifectas. And you mentioned that the horse hadn't run in a while since January, but the last time the horse had a break, it came back to run 8th, and the time before that, it came back to, I swore I had this horse winning, but it must have been on a good surface. So, and it has a second in 1 run at Sandown. So I must have found something in there that the horse did okay coming off a break. Race number 3, Tom, is a mile. Again, the mile starts up in the upper corner here. It's really a mile and 14 yards coming down around that corner, back up the hill to bring bring it home for the big check. Who do you like in race number 3, which is this one is the Coral Distaff.
And this is a listed race where the race before was a Class 2 race. So we're stepping up a little in level, but an interesting group of 3-year-olds. I took number 5, Heredia, as my top choice with draw 4. Can't complain about its record. 4 starts, 4 wins. As she's moved along, they've moved her up in class, and she keeps winning. She won at Ascot in a 1 mile race at today's distance, and that's really what she runs at. As she's moved up, she's been very impressive, and I give the credit. This is where I give trainers credit. Don't rush your horse. You got a late developer. You want to get the maximum out of this horse and use the right races to do it. And they're definitely looking for black type in this race, but they're looking, I think, for bigger things in the future if this horse stays sound and continues on her winning ways. And so far, can't complain. Number 1, Los Cala is my next choice with draw 1. Has 13 starts, 4 wins, 1 second, and 5 thirds. Last route, it won a listed race by 2 lengths. And the prior race, it ran second at 7, but that was at 7 furlong. So it's 7 furlong races. Now we're going to go to a mile. A little tough, but they've been aggressive with this horse. She's a winner of a Group 3. They tried Group 1 company in France, and yeah, they could have probably skipped those races. But right now, as we look at her now, she's in form, and I think she can handle this distance without too much trouble. Finally, this is one I'm not 100% sure what this horse will do this time. The number 4, Grand Dame, who has draw 5. It's a Gosden horse who has 3 starts, 1 win, and 1 second. I tossed the last race out. It ran at Ascot, Royal Ascot, Group 1, very good field, and her undefeated stablemate won the race in Spiral. So, yeah, she wasn't going to beat that horse, and nobody else could either, for that matter. And but her trip was less than great, to say the least. And I think this is a better spot for her. I'm just, she's placed in a listed race at York, and she's only been running it at this distance. So it'll be interesting to see if coming out of the Royal Ascot race, she's not going to regress. Again, this is not one I think will win, but I think it certainly should have a chance somewhere if this horse is in form.
Well, this time around, we have a little bit more consistency between our picks. We were kind of both in the same place. So I'm going to start like you did with number 5, Heredia. Heredia is a horse that I like. It's undefeated in 4 races. So, and one of which was at the distance. All the 4 are on the turf. Horse just seems like it's getting better, and it looks to me like the longer it goes, maybe the better it's going to go, because some of those shorter races were a little bit closer, and then it kind of extended out a little bit last time out. The next one for me is number 8, Queen Amatu. Well, we'll go with that one. Queen Amatu is going to make its second start off a layoff last time out, and its second start, it improved off of the first start, just missed last time out in its first try on a turf course. Finished 3rd by a neck at 6 furlongs. So I think the extra distance here today will be helpful. It has run 7 furlongs a trio of times on the all-weather track. So we'll see if it can continue that solid form the horse has shown no matter what surface it's run on so far. The one note is last time out, it was a soft course. So I think that you'll probably see that all-weather form probably playing into to this race. And in the all-weather track, this horse has run. She's run phenomenally. My third choice is number 3, which is Fast Attack. Kind of a horse. I hope that's his plan for this race. Fast Attack is making its second start off a layoff after running in a Group 2 last time out. It did finish behind the top choice, Heredia, just a couple of races ago at Newmarket, and it did so by just a neck. So maybe the horse can find a way to make up that neck. So if you like Heredia, you got to kind of like Fast Attack. And then finally, I'm agreeing with you, Tom, on that one horse, Ascula. That's a horse that's making its third start off a layoff, and it just looks to me, it had that break as between its 2-year-old and 3-year-old campaign, came back in February, just ran a god-awful race, finished 14th. I don't even know why they put 97 lengths. Did it really come to the finish line, or did it just stop?
No, they pulled it up.
Yeah, my guess it's just stopped, yeah. So they got a little bit of time off, came back in June, and since the horse has been back, it looks like maybe it just needed more rest. And since then, the horse has got a second by a length and a win last time out. So looking like Ascula has rediscovered her form after, whatever they did in that other race.
Well, and I think part of this too is, again, that maturity thing. These are 3-year-olds, and sometimes you got to give them a little more time. And I think that was definitely one. They looked at and they go, okay, we're not going to run her again until she's really up to what we think she should be. And the best measure of that, of course, is you're looking at with the breeding, but you don't know. I mean, you just different lengths and height and whatever, and they fill out. And we've seen that with like Echo Zulu, who has run okay races, but she's not to her old form. But I think what's happened is everybody's caught up to her.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, and sometimes they mature early, and that's good. But sometimes they could be 4 and 5 years old, especially with mares, and all of a sudden they get good, and they're good for a while, and then they just drop off.
And then they've had enough.
Yeah, then they decide they want to make babies.
Mm-hmm. Race number 4 at Sandown on Saturday, tomorrow. Race number 4 is scheduled to kick off at approximately 10:35 a.m. Eastern. And this race is a 1 mile and 2 furlongs. So let's pull up the 1 mile and 2 furlongs. That one looks like it's going to start back here in this chute, come all the way down, and then around this turn again and come back to the circular stop sign. I'd imagine that it doesn't look like there'll be a whole lot of difference, but in terms of where you want to be at 1.25 miles versus 1 mile just straight up based upon looking at the track here. My guess, though, is with this little kind of turnish, you might not want to be on the rail there. You might want to be a little bit off the rail. Is that a good guess or not really?
I would say that's a good guess. I think the 2 or 3 path would be you get better running in there.
Yeah, a little bit straighter.
Yeah. And I think the rail could be a little sharper if you're not. But again, we'll see how they lay out. I'm thinking there'll be either 2 across or 3 across, depending on what stage of the race. And then when they hit that top of the stretch with about 3 furlongs left, they'll fan out, and we'll see who can get home.
Who's got the legs to run up that hill? Absolutely. I mean, I think when these tracks have an uphill all the way down the stretch, it's really a test of fitness as much as it is a test of which horses are the better horses.
Well, and again, some of these trainers are running these horses in this type of race with the mind of something else coming up, and looking to get more fitness into the horse. Of course, not at the Group 1 level necessarily, but certainly at when you look at Class 3 or Class 4 race. Mm-hmm. They're using that race as see where the horse is at, get some more fitness into it. And this is the kind of track where you can do that.
Yeah, especially running uphill. All right, Tom. So how are you going to rank the last race that we're going to handle at Sandown?
I'm on the favorite. Number 6, Valdian, withdraw 4, has 6 starts, 4 wins, and a third. Won the last out by 5 lengths in the French Derby. It looked easy, to say the least. When it made its move, there was nobody went with it, and that was the end of the race. Mm-hmm. Prior, he had won a Group 3, and he likes the going. He's won on good. He's won on soft. That shouldn't be an issue. They're really with that last race, the target became the Arc. And this is just, they're probably going to put 2 more races in this horse before the Arc. And this is an excellent opportunity, partially because you get weight from the older horses, because this is a 3-year-old. Mm-hmm. So he seems to be well placed. And if he can run the same type of race he ran in the French Derby, it's going to be tough to beat him. Number 2, Bay Bridge, withdraw 2. I like my second choice. Has 8 starts, 5 wins, a second and a third. He started out the season winning, and then he went off the favorite Royal Ascot race, and State of Rest controlled the race, the masterful ride, and he didn't catch him. Mm-hmm. And that's really the best way to describe it. We've seen State of Rest in the States. He won the Saratoga Derby. So he's well traveled. He's also been in Australia and won down there. So, but to give you an idea, Bay Bridge has really, this is his second opportunity to win a Group 1. And you got to give him, based on even coming off the last race, you got to say, maybe a little more closer to the pace. I don't know what the exact weighted run it is. I looked at one of its later races and it was just pulling away. So it really is just putting the field away. So I don't know if it's the level or he's, he's Group 1 placed, but he's not one.
Maybe just a tough day.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the thing is the tactics are going to be key here, especially with this group. I mean, when you go down this list, there's some pretty good horses in here, and Mistress, as an example, has won a significant amount of money. And Laura North is no slouch either. But for my final choice, I did take Alan Aquitaine. Was one of my, as number draw 6, has 10 starts, 5 wins, 2 seconds on the third. It ran in Dubai, and it needed a little something more than that, because then they came back here. They sent it to a Group 1 at the Curragh, won by a neck, and on a good going. And really, this horse is run in top company all the time. And I really think, he's won on the all-weather, which they used as a prep for the Dubai race. The Dubai race didn't work out so well, but this is a horse that's going to be with the front bunch, and he's honest, and he's going to give you a good race unless there's something serious wrong, and I don't think there is. I think they put him out there whenever he's been sound and he's done his thing.
Yeah, good horse for sure. This is a pretty.
It's a tough field.
Yeah,
Native Trail is hard to throw out. I mean, this is a tough bunch.
It is. I mean, it's a 6-horse field, and all of them you can make a case to win.
Yeah.
The case I'm making for Bay Bridge to win is that the horse is run at Sandown one time, brought home the top prize in that race. And then it's run at the distance 4 times. It has 3 wins and a second. So horse certain that second was the last time out, as you mentioned, in the Group 1 at Ascot. So 3rd time off a layoff. It's the charm to get back into that winner's circle. I mean, the horse has won, 5 out of 8 races lifetime, 2nd and a 3rd, only ran out of the money once. Definitely one of those horses, like you mentioned, Tom, that's going to be competitive all the way to the end. Native Trail is my second choice, or Native Tail, excuse me, Native Trail. Just want to put that R in the wrong place. This horse is coming off of a nice win last time out. And again, if you look at this horse's track record, he's run 7 times, has 6 wins, and a lone second in a Group 1 where it finished second by 3/4 of a length. So it's really just 3/4 of a length from being undefeated in 7 starts. And my guess is if it did make up that 3/4 of a length, it would probably be the favorite in here and probably be like 7-5. It was 7-7.
It wouldn't have beaten Corbus, the stablemate, because they went out and won again. So, I mean, that's a very good horse.
Indeed. I'm just saying if it had won and came into this race 7-7, it would probably be the betting favorite. I also like the Vendetti as my third choice, or Vendetti as my third choice in here. It's a little less experienced than some of the other ones. I do like the fact that on a good track, the horse has nice runs in there as well. I don't think it's lost on a good track, but 6 races, has 4 wins, threw in a pretty good clunker in one of them and a third. So it just seems to me like it wins 2 in a row, hasn't won 3 in a row yet. That's not to say that it won't in here, but I'm looking for a reason to beat him. And the fact that it has not been able to win 3 races in a row. In fact, when it won 2 in a row last time, it came back and ran a stinker in the next one. So I don't want it to run a stinker, but I want it to run third, Tom. And then number 4, Miss Shrift. I mean, as you mentioned, Tom, this horse has won more money than probably the rest of these horses combined times 2, with $2.4 million, 6 of 12 on the turf. It hasn't run. I mean, last time out, they tried to run it on dirt. That they said, nah, I'm not interested in that. Finished 14th by 53 lengths. So another one that pulled up. But when it comes off the break, it does have a history of running okay, and ran off the break one last year at Sandown in the Coral-Eclipse and finished 3rd. So maybe you'll see that horse, do 3rd again today here and then close out our exactas and trifectas and so forth. Before we skip over the English channel do you ever look? I looked this up the last time we were going to do like this English channel to like the France, the Paris to England thing. Mm-hmm. And they ever look to see how they get cars across there?
Yeah, the tunnel.
Yeah, but it's in a train though.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. And then there's like the whole thing on YouTube where I was like a half an hour, like they like a tour of the tunnel. There's a side tunnel to the side, like the maintenance tunnel, where there's no traffic in there. But like if somebody like passes out or something, or there's some emergency, they go in that side tunnel. And there's like doors kind of like connecting spaceship to spaceship they have to, I guess they have to like suck the air out of it or something like that. And then it pops so they can open from one to the other to bring them in. They're going through the whole science of it all. It was pretty interesting. It was one of those things you can't believe you watched for a half an hour. When you watched it, you're like, why did I watch that? But it was interesting to see. So check it out on YouTube. You might like it if you're kind of into engineering stuff. But anyhow,
well, and they've had horses get stuck there.
Have they?
They were bringing for a race, and then they just turn around and go home, either one way or the other.
But how do you go home?
Pardon me?
How do they go home? Does the train just
Well,
stick
no,
it in reverse?
they're in line to go across,
Oh,
like to
and they
France or vice versa,
mhm.
and because of volume or traffic, or it's they're at 12 hours and they still haven't gotten across. It's like, okay, this is taking too much out of the horse. I think I think we're going to hang it up and go and scratch. So you get some traffic problems there, and with COVID, they did have, of course, more restrictions in
Mhm.
place. It can be an adventuresome I mean, there's still the ferries running and all that. I mean, there's other ways to get through, not just the tunnel.
Mhm.
But it's something that sometimes you have to think about. They're shipping a horse, and how many days, and how many hours is it spending in the van.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to see the people. I wonder they didn't show like they don't get out and there's not like a bar or like a little thing. You sit in your car, I guess, the entire time you're there and listen to music. But I can't imagine you can't have it on because of the fumes unless they didn't mention anything about how they got the fumes out of there. So you must have to have your phone or something. I don't know. And down there you're not getting reception, so kind of interesting. But
Well,
anyway,
they do get reception. I think they do have it.
they
It's like,
wired into
yeah,
the
yeah.
internet.
It was when I was in China many years ago. We could get perfect cell reception in the subway.
Hmm. Yes, I know they just added that here in Chicago not too long ago. Where you can actually get it.
Well, this
We're
was
not,
22 years ago.
that they did it here. I
No,
don't
in
know.
China.
All right, say well, it just feels like yesterday, but it was long ago. To steal from Bob Seeger. All right, so today Terry's got his best bet of the day over at Woodbine. It is race number 6. He likes number 9, Frosted Over, and this is for Friday. So if you're watching Saturday or Sunday, you'll have to go to horseracingtoday.net to get Terry's best bet for Saturday and for Sunday. But at Woodbine on Friday in race 6, Frosted Over is his top choice. Artie Storm is his second choice. I don't know about you, Tom, but anytime I see a horse at Woodbine named Artie, I pick it. What is with the Artie horses in Canada? I'm not sure, but they always do well. And then finally, number 1, Benson. This is one coming in from Europe. So if you're looking for a best bet today at Woodbine, make sure you head on over to horseracingtoday.net to catch Terry's pick of the day as he posts every day. Now we're going to go in that tunnel.
Those wouldn't be my choices.
No, they wouldn't be your choice.
Well, Artie Storm would be in there, but there's another horse in there that won the Queen's Plate and has done well in both sides of the border in here. Mighty Heart was one at Churchill, and that's he's a very good horse.
But have you noticed that those Artie's horses always do good in Canada? I've noticed for whatever reason. If there's a horse named Artie, just circle it on just put it in your memory bank. Whenever you're betting at Woodbine or a Canadian race course and there's an Artie in there, just put it on your ticket because they always seem to do well. And it's the same thing like with quarter horse racing. Anytime there's a quarter horse that has the name Jess in it, you got to play it because whatever reason those Jess quarter horses are always involved. And maybe somebody in the breeding side with the Jess can tell us or the Artie can fill us into why. Now we're going to take that tunnel. It's going to be a little bit quicker for you and I, Tom.
Well, a lot quicker.
So we're going to head to, I know I got this right now, St. Cloud. I don't know what happened to the D, but it's not there anymore. And at St. Cloud, the track looks like this. Another somewhat looking like a it's a weird looking paperclip. And I hope this is the right one because there were a few other St. Clouds out there. One in England, apparently, too, a St. Cloud racetrack. Did you know that? No. I didn't know that either, but maybe I'm wrong. But if you go to Racing Post and you put St. Cloud in, it gives you a track in England. So I had to look at, is this the right track, Tom, with the clouds and everything?
Don't think so.
All right, well, there you go. Never mind then. Forget that. But this is the right race, Tom, right here.
Oh, no, it's definitely the right race.
There, this is the right race. St. Cloud. It is the 7th race, right, on the day. I hope I got that right because you told me 7th race.
It is the 7th.
All right. So really isn't a lot of information available. So I kind of went through the forum here on racingpost.com to get a sense of who's in good form, who's run well on a good track, although I don't know what the weather is going to be there. And they haven't really said just yet. No, it's going to be soft. So there's a little bit of rain there. So look for horses.
Some moisture.
That horses that can handle the soft track. But nonetheless, I look for horses that are in good form. So who do you like here? Do you like the fat Hurricane Lane?
Well, not for first. I took number 9, the mare, Alpistenia, with draw 7. She has 12 starts, 7 wins in 2 seconds. She's won her last 5 in a row dating back to April of 2021 at various tracks, and the last 3 were in Germany. She's coming off a layoff into this race, but she's won 3 times off of layoffs. So it's not like she doesn't know how to get it done. If you look at her form, she did step up in 2020 at York to a Group 1, and she was okay. She ran in the money. She's going to get a weight allowance being against the males, and let's face it, she's just a very good horse.
Man, 5 in a row. That's a pretty good indication.
And now we're coming in a layoff, and it'll be really interesting to see how she should handle it. And she's been in great company all along in her career. Mm-hmm. Again, this is one that's probably targeted for the ARC. So, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's a tough spot because there are some good horses in here, but I really think she's the best one.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Mare Austrius is my next choice. As draw 2, 9 starts, 4 wins, 2 seconds, and 1/3. Won at Chantilly last out by 2 lengths over Bubble Gift, who was running in this race. It was a Group 2. In his other starts this season, he ran 4th to that horse we've mentioned before, State of Rest, by 2 lengths in a Group 1, and then he finished 3rd at Paris Longchamp to Scoletti, who is also a very good horse. So this horse has faced decent company all along, right combination with Andre Fabre and Olivier Prestier. I think it's going to be very competitive in this race, and you always got to look at those local horses a little more than some of the shippers sometimes, and remember their form can hold up very nicely. And this one's definitely really not run a bad race. Even with its 2 out of the money finishes, it was competitive. And then finally, I took number 5, Hurricane Lane, with draw 9 as my final choice. 9 starts, 6 wins, and 3/3. Its last run was against Broome at Royal Ascot, and he chased Broome around the track. And Ryan Moore rode a masterful race on Broome to win that one, and he was 3rd by 4.5 lengths. And again, the observation we've talked about a little was the commentator, which is the reason I got off the horse for winning, was they were talking about it being didn't look in shape, as well shape as they've seen it, and they thought there was maybe some extra there. So definitely one of those horses that probably needed a race.
Enjoying the fruits of his labor.
I wouldn't complain about it. He's done pretty well. This is one I think needed a race, definitely. He is the class of the field. The question is his form. He even was competitive in the last race, but there was, with the way Broome set the pace, he wasn't going to catch him.
Yeah, he got just a little tired at the end there. You could see he didn't have any jump. Yeah, he was absolutely done at the end. So, all right. So for me in the St. Cloud race, because the D's, they shouldn't even have a D on there. I agree with you. I'm going to go with the 9 horse as my top choice. Alpinista. I'm going to give Hurricane Lane a chance to rebound a little bit. I think by now he's probably dropped a few pounds. I'm going to go with Mare Australis like you. So we have the same 3 horses, slightly different order. And then my 4th choice is number 7, Bubble Gift. As you mentioned, finished behind another horse in here. That's why I put it in to the 4th spot. So I'm going to go 9, 5, 4, and 7. And I'm not quite sure what time this race is expected to start around here, Tom, but just I'd imagine.
Add another hour. So that'll be it's 7 hours difference, or 8 hours for the Eastern time.
So it's going to be 3 o'clock their time. So 3 o'clock minus 9 o'clock. So about 8 o'clock.
About 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. There you go. The Grand Prix de St. Cloud, which is another really good race. And there was a lot of good races that we covered this weekend at Sandown and at St. Cloud. Any idea of what you have on mind for next week, Tom?
I have to go look. But one thing I want to note on here, if you go click on settings on Racing Post, if you're a subscriber, you can get the Pro card. But on the bar up top there, settings, click on there.
Settings.
In the middle is, and you see where it says card, Pro card, at a glance, odds.
Right here.
Yeah,
Pro
click
card?
on the
settings. I see.
Settings.
Okay.
Then there you can put your form in, your race conditions. So if you click form on, you'll get the form. You won't get any comments because it's foreign racing. If you want to see the pedigree, so anybody who wants to use this, that kind of information is available to you through there, and it's it's a nice site to use because they will put selected races up there. And if you click on the like tomorrow's card, and go down to the bottom, which is where the foreign races are, you'll see we got German racing, we've got South Africa, and we have France at Chantilly available to you to take a look at. And they're they do give you some nice coverage. They will also, if you click on the Sunday, you'll see you got, like today, you'll get maybe Woodbine, and maybe on Sunday you would get Belmont if there's a big race there. So they really they'll give you the nice areas of picks and all that good stuff.
So here's your worldwide stakes races that they're covering in here too. So as you can see,
they do a nice job with it, and the information is good. So if you do want to use it,
that's how you do it.
For it.
Yeah, and we don't get paid, so Tom is just giving you that because he uses it, and that's the best endorsement you can get, right, Tom? When they're not paying you,
they're not paying me a dime. I'm paying them actually a little over $300 a year.
I understand how that works. Absolutely.
Yeah. But their information is good and their stuff is good. Well, next week, the plan will be for July festival at Newmarket, and there's one race at York that we will be taking a look at.
So Newmarket and York, both of which are in England. Tomorrow, if you're around at 9 a.m. Eastern, or you can watch it throughout the day, are Chris P. and Eddie C. Chris should really put the P in there because Chris P. and Eddie C. rhymes better than Chris and Eddie C. So Chris P. and Eddie C. are going to get together for spot plays along with Stable Duels Brie Mott. That's Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. They're going to cover some of those big races at Delaware. They'll probably also have an offer there for you as well. I know that over on horseracingtoday.net, if you click on any of the track sites, there is a link there where you can get a $10 free play at Stable Duel. See if you can turn that into more money. So you might want to check that out. Of course, check out ADP and Chris P. and Eddie C. tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. They'll walk you through a lot of what's going to happen at Delaware tomorrow with Brie Mott. Should be another fantastic show. Chris has always got some great illustrations there. He's always working on the data side and the visualization side of horse racing. All right, Tom, any final thoughts before we get out of here this Friday morning?
Again, I'm going to refer back to the Breeders' Cup. These are races that could have implications. These horses could be shipping over here, especially the Godolphin horses and Gosden. If Mistriff comes back right, he may be back. He may be here too. I mean, he certainly won't. He's won a few bucks in his career.
2.4
million. And it just gives you an idea of what we could see. I mean, these are two top-notch Group 1 races. And as I said with the Sandown one, and you said I should say, it's hard to pick. You got 6 horses, but you could pick any one of them.
Absolutely.
And have a reason, could make a good case for them winning that race. So it should be a competitive event. And I think the St. Cloud race is going to be an interesting one too. Again, the Breeders' Cup a little bit. I think the Arc is more. If you want to bet the Arc in October, it's a race to watch because that's the target of a couple of these horses in there.
Thank you, Mike Watkins, for the thumbs up on Facebook. If you like what you saw as well, please give us a thumbs up on Facebook. If you haven't done so already, follow us on our social sites. You see them scrolling below. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We made it simple. It's Horse Race 2, the number, day. So Horse Race Today as the handle for all Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And while you're on YouTube at Horse Racing Radar TV, please hit the subscribe button. want to thank so many of you who have done that already. Also, hit the bell so when we go live, you are notified. We will be back, Terry and I, on Monday for July 4th to cover parks in the morning. After that, we're off to barbecue and fireworks and whatever other mischief we can get into prior to coming back on Tuesday, most likely for Delaware Park. For Horseshoe Indianapolis. But when Colonial Downs goes live, it's probably going to become our Tuesday slot. Wednesday, we'll stick with Delaware. Thursday will be the New York track Belmont until Saratoga kicks in. And then that's it.
We're only about, 14 days away for Saratoga. So,
yeah, so that'll become our Thursday track. So we're looking forward to all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. So Tom and I and Terry and Sean are intending to be out there for the 4-Star Dave weekend on August the 15th. So make sure, I think it's the 14th, somewhere around there, middle of the month.
14th, yeah.
4-Star Dave. So if you're in the Saratoga neighborhood, we'll have on beautiful blue shirts or Horse Racing Today shirts like Tom is wearing there. Be on the lookout for us because we can't wear T-shirts like this. But if you want to wear a T-shirt like this or a hat while you're at horseracingtoday.net, please hit on the HRT gear, pick yourself up a hat or a shirt, support the show. It's one of the few ways that we can pay the light bills around here. That wraps it up today, Tom. Any final thoughts?
Good luck.
Indeed. No matter if you're betting here in the States, competing in a contest, looking to have just a fantastic 4th of July with your family here in the States, whatever it is that you're doing, we hope that it ends up in one place, Thomas, and that place is
only one place. That is the winner's circle.
Indeed. Have a fantastic weekend.